Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dragon's Library. So today we are going to be talking about the new Mario movie by Illumination. Yeah, so I have some mixed feelings on this one. But before we get to that, we should probably go over the plot. I mean, do I really need to on this one? Okay, I guess I do because it's a movie. Basically, it's a Mario plot. So, Bowser tries to invade the Mushroom Kingdom, and it has the interesting twist of Mario and Luigi being drawn in from what is sort of modern-day Brooklyn. And that's it. Mario comes in, the princess immediately sees him as a potential ally, drags him over, Luigi gets kidnapped by Bowser, and they have to go on a quest to the Kong Kingdom to raise an army, defeat Bowser, save this final star, because it is always stars, and that's it? There's not really much more to this as a plot, because Mario is pretty simple when it comes to plots most of the time, at least the base Mario games. So, with the basic overview of the plot out of the way, let's get into my complex feelings on this movie. First up, I'd like to go over the cast, and I was a little nervous. So I went to this film with a lot of complicated feelings. On one hand, the trailers I'd seen looked mostly pretty good, but I also have low expectations for Illumination as a studio. I think they put out a lot of below average work and tend to cash in on any success, so I was very afraid they were going to do that. And I will say, this is not necessarily a bad movie. I didn't really enjoy it that much, but then again, I'm also not a Super Mario fan. I mean, I like the games, but I'm not like the super fan who's played every game out there or whatever. I know basically their backstory, I've enjoyed my fair share of Mario games, but for me, just seeing these characters wasn't exactly enough on its own to make my day. However, I will say I was surprised by the voice actors. So, when I first heard that Chris Pratt was going to be Mario, like everyone else, I kind of just laughed and said, well, this is probably going to be terrible. I mean, Illumination, a bunch of stunt-casted Hollywood actors as voice actors, that's not great. But, I had forgotten that Jack Black was going to be playing Bowser. And having seen him, he's easily the best part of this whole movie. I'm not even joking. Every scene with Bowser is really, really good. Jack Black has a very expressive voice. He has experience in voice acting before, most notably for me as Po from Kung Fu Panda in the DreamWorks movies. And he is a very good voice actor in addition to being a good actor. Those are actually two different things, and sometimes it annoys me when I see stunt-casted Hollywood actors, because there are plenty of other good voice actors out there who can actually do a really good job. In my personal opinion, there aren't that many Hollywood actors that are also high-quality voice actors. Aside from Jack Black, I can really only think of Mark Hamill, who's also a good voice actor and really good actor in general. So when I first heard about this cast, I thought it was going to be pretty bad, but it isn't. Chris Pratt actually does a decent job with Mario. I wouldn't say he's outstanding or anything like that. Luigi, Peach, and the rest all have decent voice actors. They're all pretty good. Nothing stand out like Jack Black. Nothing that made me say, oh, this was the perfect choice. But they're not bad either. In addition, since I want to talk about the good things first, I will also say that this is probably Illumination's best looking movie. The animation here is at the top of their game. Quite frankly, I didn't think Illumination had the talent necessary to make a movie look this good. I genuinely didn't. I thought the trailers were probably going to be the best part. The scenes we saw in the trailer were going to be the best part of this movie, because I did not think Illumination was capable of holding this movie to that same level of quality all throughout. I was wrong. They apparently do have some decent animators working for them. In addition, I will say that the backgrounds in this are filled with tons of Easter eggs, most of which I was unable to catch, but there is a lot. We're going to be seeing a lot of those, 100 things you missed in the Mario movie videos on YouTube all over the place. Seriously, it's going to be, if you like Mario, it's going to be all up in your newsfeed and your homepage. Get ready for a lot of those. And the animators and designers of the movie clearly had a lot of love for the source material, which is gratifying. Quite frankly, a friend of mine actually said something similar to this, and it was basically, if this movie had come out 15 years ago, it would have probably been the best video game movie of all time. It would have been hailed as the best adaptation of any video game ever. But in the modern era, when we have things like Castlevania from Netflix, or we have the Detective Pikachu movie, it feels a little lacking in comparison. And the part of it that is the most problem is the plot. More specifically, the script and the pacing. I think the basic overview of the plot that creates these different worlds that sort of both act as a way to get all the stuff that's in the Mario world in one place and also get the various ages and different retro versions of all the stuff that's out there. I think it fits cohesively as a fantasy world. I kind of like it. I enjoyed the way they went from modern day Brooklyn to here because it lets you ask a lot of questions and it helps the audience get immersed so you don't have to know the games to understand what's going on. Although again, Mario is perhaps the second most popular video game character of all time behind only Pikachu. And Pikachu people mostly know from like anime or merchandise and stuff like that, whereas people know Mario as a video game character specifically. Even people who don't play video games or watch a lot of shows and stuff like that. And I think that they did sort of bank on the fact that everyone knows Mario. But I think that they had a plan for a decent outline of a plot. They just forgot to build a more complicated plot that wasn't the Cliff Notes version. So, and this is where I get into my negative parts. There are what I would call family movies, and then there are kids movies. And this feels a lot more like a kids movie than a family movie. For example, things like Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, a lot of DreamWorks and Pixar stuff in general, they have jokes or deeper plot elements that an adult can grasp onto. A lot of them have themes and stuff like that that a kid just wouldn't understand. But they're still enjoyable animated movies that you can bring your kid to. So, whereas not every adult enjoys Pixar or DreamWorks movies, they can still get something out of it. Whereas a kid can enjoy it, like a little tiny kid can enjoy it for the fast-moving lights, colors, sounds, and funny gags. And I feel like Mario moves a bit too far in the opposite direction, where it's a kid's movie. It's a bunch of very, very fast-paced lights and sounds designed to distract kids. It just so happens to be wearing a Mario costume with a bunch of Mario references in the background. And the reason I say this is the pacing of the script. So, in the movie, Mario essentially drops down to the fantasy kingdom, a toad immediately walks up to him, brings him to the castle, the guard try and keep him out, but he breaks in, runs to the princess, she's immediately like, oh, Bowser's about to attack our kingdom. We will immediately bring this new stranger with us, and he's gonna help us. Like, there's no arguing, there's no, hey, who the hell are you? It's literally just, come with me, we're going on a training montage, and then we're gonna go fight Bowser. And we get your brother back. Isn't that fun? Because Luigi ended up in Bowser's kingdom when they got separated when they brought in. And it's moments like that, where the characters don't have really any conflict, or between each other at least, and they don't try and like argue or question anything. It's just like immediately we have to go here and here and here. Basically, there's a set plot of go save the Mushroom Kingdom, and the characters don't question it at all. Like, it's literally just, oh, you're here, you're obviously going to help us. It feels very... I'm trying to think of a good word for it. The best way I can put it is that it feels very childish, but not like in a way that I think most people will understand that. It feels like really young kids' media, in the sense that characters just kind of assume everything, or we're expected to not question anything. And I think that did a disservice to this movie, when there's clearly a lot of animation work going on, there's clearly a lot of work going in there to make references to a lot of hardcore Mario characters. Jack Black is actually doing a pretty good job. And it feels weirdly tonally dissonant, because you wouldn't put this much animation or Easter egg references into a generic kids movie like Life of Pets. But you also wouldn't aim something like this plot necessarily, or at least this kind of scripting, at an adult. And it's this weird mishmash of feeling like it should be more than it is. It feels like the plot needed to slow down a bit. That's the best way I can say it. It feels like every single scene was missing at least a few seconds, and some scenes could have had a few extra minutes to them to make them flow better, to not make it seem so abrupt. And I can't really put a good word on it. That's the best explanation I can give for it, to be honest. All in all, I like a lot of what's going on here on the surface. I like the voice actors, I like the animation, I think the references and the attention to detail and the clear love of the source material shown through. But I feel like the actual story underneath it is fairly lacking in thematic elements and generally feels very raw. Like, there's no meat on this bone. There's none. It is just a bare bones plot designed to string up a good animation, good voice actors, and I think that's my problem with this, is it feels very hollow underneath. It doesn't feel like there's anything under here other than this glaring admiration for the source material. In conclusion, although this is not a bad movie, it is of my opinion that Nintendo's first foray back into video game movies since the 1990s when they made the disastrous live-action adaptation should have had more substance to it, and should not have just been a desire to make it look nice. It shouldn't have just been a shiny object. to be fair to this, if it, like I said, if it had come out 10, 15 years prior, it would have probably been one of the best video game movies of all time. We would probably now regard it as a stepping stone to the video game adaptations we now receive, such as Castlevania or Detective Pikachu. But in the modern era, you need to bring more than just a pretty shiny bauble. And that is my problem with this. I will give this movie a 7 out of 10. I can't say it's a bad movie for what it's trying to be, but it could have been a lot better, and that kind of hurts. So, yeah. With all that said and done, we're going to move on to the announcements. No spoiler talk for this, because I don't really have much to say. First up, with movies, since we did a movie review today. I have already seen John Wick 4, and I will be working on a review for that. In addition, there are 3 movies I will be seeing in the near future. I'm working to go see Shazam 2, Scream 6. However, the Monday after next, I will be going to see Suzumi, which is a new anime movie that I thought looked interesting. I've already got my ticket for that. Moving on to books, we have The Dragon's Promise and The Crystal Calamity Book 2, Battle of Medicine Rocks. Don't worry, I've already read Battle of Medicine Rocks. I will have my review up for that, and I will have a review up for The Dragon's Promise soon. So that's all in the windworks. When it comes to TV shows, I have not yet picked another TV show to review. I'm probably going to review Last of Us, though. I still need to go get an HBO account again, or get my subscription back and go watch that. So I am going to watch that. I'm going to review it eventually. Give me some time. And then finally, for video games, I'm working on my review for Hi-Fi Rush. I actually forgot to record while I was streaming, so I am going to have to go back and get some more footage, which means we're going to play the game some more, which is why that review has gotten delayed. So sorry about that. Anyway, moving on from there, we have the subscribe orb. Look at it, it's beautiful. Click on it and subscribe. And then we have a playlist for the videos this year and a new video that YouTube thinks you might like. Check it out. So, yeah. See you guys next time. Bye.